Hello, good morning. Just Carl from CWD at the Church Lawton pond. Today we are going to be putting in the Nexus filter. We've put it on its own little stand because it needs to be the same level as that. As you can see, there's a bit of a height difference. It needs to come up by about just over 4 sleepers. So we're going to make a sleeper stand, 2 sleepers on the sides, bring it up. That'll be nice. And then I'll turn it around actually. There we go. Right, so you see a bit better now. Right, so Nexus is going to go here on top of this 4-inch drain. Got the ball valve there. Not putting a purge in because it'd be daft putting a purge in. There's not enough space or anything. If it ever needs to be purged, the rubber adapter just taken off the Nexus, and it can just be purged. There's going to be waste coming down there. So if the customer really wants to purge it or anything, you can stick. You can fit a pond vac in there. It's only from there to there. So it's going to be nice and easy for them to clean either way. So we've got the 75 watt Evo UV, Tempest, and obviously the Nexus. Tempest is going to be running on a skimmer on its own pump. So it's going to be coming out of here, so the water goes through the grill, through the little mesh cage. We sell these, so if you need one, ask. We can get them custom made to any size. But this is a standard size, even fits in a sleeper pond. It's built for a block pond. All you have to do is make I think it's a 13-inch hole. I think it's 240mm? Don't know. I'll write in the description how wide it is. But yeah, it's the height of 2 sleepers, and we find them really good. You've got these 3. You can even open these up if you've got really big fish, or change it to a stainless steel one or whatever you want to do. So we dry fit things last week, and we did have a Tempest facing the other way because we thought it'd be easy for the customer, because as you get older things don't get easier. It's quite a lot of so we're trying to make it easy. We thought we'll put slide valves on this side, so this was all faced that way. What that meant is it had pipes coming up here and down here, and they were getting in the way. So the pipes are coming out the top and down, out the bottom and down. So this morning I just thought we're going to switch it around the other way, because you can reach the slide valves easy enough. And with the skimmer there, it's sticking out a bit now, so we want to make it as easy and accessible as possible. We've also set the Tempest a bit higher than we normally would, just for ease of access. The customer's retired, you don't want to be bending down here just because it's going to save him 20p a month on his electricity bill or what have you. It's going to have a 10,000 vary pump on it, so if he really wants to get it to exactly 5,000 litres an hour, he really could do if he really wanted to. So skimmer to a 10k vary pump, which is going to be sat down there, and it's going to go across, up into the bottom, out the top, all the way down, and it's going to go into this return. So that's that one. And then we've got the bottom drain in the pond, 4-inch drain, going to come up here. It's going to have that 4-inch ball valve on it. Nexus is going to be sat on top of it, and then there's going to be a pump either sat below the Nexus or down here somewhere. I reckon it's going to be underneath the Nexus, because that's where we want it to go into the UV. So it's going to pump down into the UV, and it's going to come out the UV into here. So these are 1.5-inch male threaded unions going into the Evo 75. They were a bit tight, but once we lubricated them with a bit of a solvent weld, they did go in quite nicely. And so it's a really simple setup, really. It's not that difficult to do. If it's your first time plumbing things together, just do everything dry. I mean, nothing here is actually glued in yet. We just cut it, stick it in, because then you don't know what problems you're going to have until you actually stick it all together. So what you're best off doing is dry fitting it all together, making sure it works. Can I reach all the valves? Can I do this? Can I clean that? And especially if you've got mobility issues, is it easy for me to access? Because the less easy it is for you to access, the less likely you're going to want to go and clean it, and you don't want to make life hard for yourself, do you? So yeah, got a nice flat floor in the pond now. It's all gone off nicely. I'm going to be installing the underlay today. The window for that side, it's taken a while. I think it's like 6 weeks or something now. I think the glass factory must have smashed it or something. So that's holding things up. There's no point in me arranging the labour to fit these 2 windows. It's just a bit too heavy for me to do on my own. I did my wrist in early in the year. I don't want to do that again. So we'll get all 3 windows in at the same time. Yeah, but we're really happy with the results. It looks absolutely spot on. It's gonna look mint when it's full of water. Then the customer, this is where his waste's gonna go. So he's got a 200 litre barrel in there with a solid handling pump. So we're gonna have the waste coming through the wall down into there. So another reason why you dry fit things is normally you forget about the waste and you deal with it after, but we'll dry fit all this, and then when the Nexus is mounted on its stand, we'll dry fit the waste in as well, because we might have to just wiggle, move pipes a bit or something. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. And this is the air feed for the bottom drain. So I don't know if you can see, but that's basically the height of the pond. So we do that because it just gets rid of the chance of anything siphoning out, or it cutting the when the electrics go, the air pump fills with water, and then it's just easy doing that. Because if you ever need to do anything here now, this is pretty much always going to be dry. So that just makes things easier. So if you're going to do inch and a half pipe, 1 inch pipe even, doesn't cost that much. So for the sake of an extra metre, it's worth having it there. And then everything is at the top. If you ever need to change anything, or you're not bending down here, having to drain the pond water level to down 2 feet. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to get the underlaying, everything at least dry plumbed together. The skimmer with these, what I like to do with my MS window sealant, get a nice bead down here, lift that up, so put a bead all the way down here, down there, and at the bottom of the flange. Then I like to just have it in place for a bit, because what you see a lot of the time is you plumb it all together and everything, and the skimmer will be sticking out like this or like that, or at an angle, and it can just be annoying. So yeah, get that glued on. Same with the returns down there. I've kicked them in just sort of flush, but that's how they will be when it's done. I just didn't want to cut them bits of pipe just for the sake, just for the sake of it. If I've got any short pieces, I'll use them. With the unions, you have to have the pipe a little bit longer, because I've seen it before where they glue the flange in. So you glue this into the flange, then they glue this elbow on. Try and stick a ball valve or something on there, and it's too close. There's not enough room for that ball valve, so it does need to be sticking out a bit, that anyway. So, but now we've got it in there, we can jump inside the pond, mark off with a permanent marker where it needs cutting up to, and then we can cut it and get it all perfect. And then again, you dry fit it and then you glue it. You make sure it works before you mess about cutting and gluing and all that stuff. Yeah, any questions, let us know. But this is a all EA setup, 2 10k vary pumps, a 75 watt UV, a Tempest, and a Nexus 220 plus. So these, the Nexus, they're not excellent at the mechanical side, whereas the Tempest are excellent at the mechanical side. These are excellent on the biological side. So between this and the Tempest, and coupled with the UV, this water's going to be absolutely gin clear. Hello again. Right, so this is the 10k vary pump, currently sat on top of the Nexus 220, just at Church Lawton pond still. Just thought I'd show you what's inside here, because we do get a lot of questions about how you plumb these up to things. That's when I get to these. So inside the box you get an instruction manual. To be honest, you don't really need to read that. It's not that complicated. So you get these little bits. So if you're hard piping with pressure pipe, like this sort of pipe down there, don't need these. Shut them in your spares box. What we want is pump, and the control unit. That handy EU plug. Yeah. Little washers and stuff again. Chuck them in a spares box. Give them to someone on Facebook who needs them. Right, so take the bag off this. Chuck that in the bin. Same with the control unit bit. So we're going to have 2 of these pumps running on this pond. And the important bits to know, when it comes with the strainer on. These pumps aren't ideal for pump fed, as in pump inside the pond, because this bit is notorious for just falling off. You know, as you're lowering it into the pond, if it knocks something, it'll just come straight off. It don't twist on or anything. So if you are going to use it, put some of the window sealant on these bits here. If you put some on there, then once it's gone off after a few hours, it's going to be much more difficult for that to fall off. It's a good strainer, it's a good size, so it's not going to get blocked easily, although it will do if you've got like load of deer dens or anything like that, pondweed and things. So again, you can chuck that to one side. You can even use that for a custom like a moving bed filter or something. Say I want to convert that into a moving bed, I could stick that on the inside and then have a tank connector, because a rubber 110mm or 4-inch rubber will fit around one of these, so they're quite handy for that. The base, as you can see, does come off quite easily. They do break quite easily as well, so be careful with them. But yeah, you can which way is it bloody slide on? Rarely use them. Yeah, so that slides on backwards like that. So the water goes in the side that the cage was on, so that's the easiest way to remember it. You can see the impeller there, you can see that white bit, that's where the water goes in. You get a control unit with it, so you get a nice long lead. And you get your EU plug. Right, and you get your control unit, really simple, on and off. And then it's turn it up, turn it down. Goes up to 100, then the numbers that come up as you're pressing the button, they show you what percentage it's running at. So if you set it to 30, it's running at 30%, 50 is running at 50%, so 50%, 20,000 is running at 10,000, and so on. So another thing to be careful of when you're first installing is we put PFT tape in this bit here, because with it being, it's just the way it is, for the first sort of couple of weeks we do get customers calling up saying this bit here, what happens actually is the customer screws it on too tight, forces the rubber little grommet thing out. This little washer here is rubber. So what happens is they do it that tight because they're worried about it leaking, because we warn them to PFT tape this bit to waterproof that all squashes out, and then it's not waterproof anymore, and if the pump's outside, gets any moisture on it, it's going to short. So that's a quick run through of that. Move that lead. So the handles on these are a lot better than the Pond Expert ones. This back plate here actually holds the handle in, because the handle just sort of comes in. It's actually screwed on the front there by the looks of it. Yeah, it is. The Pond Expert handle, as you pick up the pump, especially the 30,000's got a bit of weight to it, the only thing that's holding it on is friction, this back plate here. And then the whole thing, that pops off, the handle pops off, and then your pump's on the floor smashed to pieces. So please be careful when you're handling the pumps when you first get them out the box, because the handles aren't always as strong as they seem. But the Evolution Aqua ones, they are quite good, because they bothered to put a screw on there, which is good, it's nice. So as far as getting these attached to hard pipe, you don't use the step toes tails that we just chucked over there. Use one of these. The 10,000 value pump that we've got here uses an 1.5 inch female threaded union. So you've got a glue end there, so you can glue your 1.5 inch pipe in that bit. And this bit you can either PFT tape, or I like to use a bit of glue. So you use potable water, solvent weld. We use a WDF-05 or the Uni 100, or even the Wet Dry. They're all quite good. We prefer this one because it comes with a nice little brush, whereas the other one comes with a little it's like a weird little sponge, so it's not as good. And we like the fact this is blue, you can see where it is nice and easy as well. So see if we can do this with one hand. Right, we'll give it a go. So that, I've cleaned it, no dust or anything in there. So what we need to do is you want to get glue on the thread all the way around, not so much that it's all dripping through, and then you want to get glue on this bit. If you get absolutely tons of glue on this and tons of glue on there and screw it on, the glue can get inside and it can knacker up your impeller, so you don't want that. So it's cold today, I wouldn't do this one-handed in the summer. It's like 5 degrees at the moment. So bit of glue on the thread, bit of glue on there, glue around there, and then you want to quite quickly, don't know if you're going to see this, get that on there, screw it all the way in, and then in a couple of minutes, with it being quite cold, that'll have gone off. In the summer, that'll have gone off a while ago. So inside you can kind of see there's bits of glue. I don't know if you can actually, let's zoom in a bit. There's like, so you can see glues all around. So that pretty much guarantees that you know there's a good seal on that. Lean it forward a bit, because you don't want any of that glue going into the impeller or anything. Then we're doing the top one, lie it on its side. Lie on its side and do it like that, because you don't want the glue going inside and getting in, because that plastic's probably the same as this, and if this melts when you put the solvent weld on there, you don't want that happening. So just make sure, because some of these do come non-threaded. You can see here we've got some that's smooth that side and it's smooth that side. So just make sure, I always store them so you can see these bits sticking up, because then you can easily see, right, that's threaded, that's glue. So same again. Glue on there. You don't have to put absolutely tons of glue on, and in the summer you have to do this about 20 times as fast as I'm doing now. So I wouldn't be as relaxed as I am now doing it. So, and then you just twist that on, lean it on its side, put it all the way on, and then from the outside you can see there's all bits of glue there, and then you can have a quick peek inside. There we go. And I can see there's glue all around. I'm not sure what you can see there, for being honest. So after a couple of minutes I'll stand that up, and then that's converted to pressure pipe straight away, nice and easy. So you don't need any of the fittings that come with it really, so that'll go straight to pressure now. So what we'll end up doing, I think we'll end up putting the pump. The pump will basically go out there. So we'll elbow off out of the exit. We might even go completely underneath and elbow there. So yeah, I think that's what I think. Changes often. This is why we dry fit everything. You glue them on, because what happens is you dry fit everything and then you forget that you've not glued your unions. You can't glue your unions on wrong really, so always get your unions glued on and then you'll be right. So yeah, that looks like that pipe might be in the way actually. We'll see, we might have to 45 and then go in that way, but we'll see what happens once we get this mounted, because this is going to be up about 35-40 centimeters, so we can put the pipes underneath. So yeah, I'm going to do the same with the other pump. The other pump will have pressure fittings the same, and that will be sat over there in the corner, because that's the least chance of anything damaging it. So it's going to come out the skimmer, and it's going to 45 that way, 45 towards the pump, and it's going to pump up into there. Now with us having a bit of a floating floor for all the pipes to be hidden underneath, we might just stick the pump there actually, because then it can just go straight up into this, and then this bit, whoop, and this one can come down at an angle and then just go straight across and up. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best, most neat way of doing that. But with the beauty of dry fitting it, you can mess about and do it as many different times as you want until you get it perfect. So yeah, I'll come back when I've done a bit more. Alright, so we've just got the little 10,000 value pump plumbed in, and that's going straight up into here. It's a bit dark down there. That's really light in here, as far as my eyes can tell, but it's a bit bright outside, so I suppose it's making it a bit difficult to see. But yeah, so we've got pump there, it's going straight up, so it's pumping in this way. So now what we need to do is get this, zoom out a bit, so we need to get this bit connected up to the pump. So easiest way of doing that, 45 down that way, 45 again, and 90 into the pump. So I'll come back when we've done that. Right, so we're just going to put a bit of sealant on the flange of the skimmer there. That'll just hold it in there nicely. So obviously the sealant we're using is a My Pond MS300. It's universal sealant used for absolutely everything, from the flanges going to the liner, the bottom drain, liner flange, and gluing things. You know, it's an all-purpose sealant for gluing absolutely everything. So yeah, I use it for everything in the house as well. Even fixed my kitchen sink with it when that was leaking last week. Right, so yeah, we're going to put, you don't need to put tons on. I'm just going to do 3 big blobs there, 3 big blobs on that side, and then I'll lift it, put it in, and I'll hold it in for a few minutes, and then it'll just stay there. As you can see, there's the blobs. Just put nice fat blobs on. There's no point in doing a continuous bead because it's not waterproofing anything, it's just holding something in place. So see if you can do this for one hand actually. So get the skimmer, put it in, and then just push it on. Now for a few minutes that'll have a nice grab. It just keeps everything in place, because nothing worse than this is just wobbling about everywhere when you're trying to fit all the pipe round the back, and then you realise you fit the pipe and this is sticking forward, you know, by that much there, that gap that you've got. So yeah, it can be a bit of a nightmare that. So once you've put a few blobs of glue on, you have to then grab a spirit level just to make sure that it's actually setting straight, because the wonky skimmer will stand out. So yeah, there's a bit of a lift on that side, and then we're sorted. Okay, so let's see what's changed now. So I've decided to change how I'm plumbing all that in, because I thought it was stupid to come out of this return, go down to the floor and then come all the way up. So we've just gone parallel to the pipe that's feeding the pump. Pump's going to sit under there. I'm going to raise the pump slightly so it's ever so slightly suspended, just so it's not got as much pressure going down on it. So there's a pump. It's touching the floor at the moment, so I don't want it touching the floor, because once it's full of water and everything's pressing down, I want it to have a bit of room to flex, because that blue casing on the front of the pump, yeah, that blue casing there, that can crack quite easily. You know, if everything's under pressure, it's all twisted. I'm going to put some Cobra clamps on this as well. That'll give it some extra support. But as far as out of the skimmer back into the pond, that's as simple as that is. I know some people will be saying things like, oh, it's not the most ideal area for the returns to be, but on this pond it is. Otherwise I'd have to do pipes going up here and then, you know, go on the other side. But it's good because this is where the customer's going to be sitting, watching the fish. They've got 2 returns coming this way, so the fish should be swimming this way towards them. And it's going to have an aerated bottom drain pushing everything up, so the bottom drain is still going to be pushing stuff out. But yeah, with 2 filters running on this pond, it's going to be, you know, an Nexus 220 on this size pond and a Tempest. It's going to be over filtered. It's going to be absolutely fine. So that's where the filter is going to be sitting, but it's going to be higher up. So I've just put that in just so I can get my head around how I'm going to get all this stuff in now. So the Tempest area is done now. It's not glued in, but it's all fitted together. I'm going to put a metal strap around these pipes as well, just to support them, because I don't want all that pressure going on that bit up there. It's not a massive amount, like, but you forget that once these pipes are full of water, you know, they're a lot heavier than what they are when they're bloody empty. So next job is figure out where the pump's going, and then, well, I reckon the pump will go there, if not just to the side, and then it'll 45 up or something, and then that return is very easy. It's just down, up into a ball valve, straight into the pond. So that one's already been glued on, this one's yet to be glued on because I've just finished plumbing all the other stuff, so I'll get some glue on that now. So that my pond MS300, and yeah, and then it's just a case of figuring out the waste. Now, the way that I've positioned it, it's facing straight into where the waste's going. So I'm going to get it teed off, put together, and then it's going to run along the wall, and that's just going to be waste pipe going into the waste outside that the customer's sorted. So I just need to cut a hole in the wall there and connect it up to there, and then the Tempest is going to go into that as well. So I'm unsure whether to use waste pipe or the high quality koi hose stuff like this. Unsure what to use yet, but because it'd be easy using the flexible hose, because it's just a case of putting a step toe tail over there and then clamp it on the wall all the way along, tee in where I need to tee in there, and then on the end of the Nexus waste kit you can put a step toe tail on that as well. So that'd be the easiest and might be the neatest, but we'll see. But yeah, if I put inch and a half on that, then that'll be absolutely fine. It won't restrict the Nexus when it's emptying or anything. Also, I'm gonna have to modify this to gravity fed as well, so don't forget to do that. If you do it pump fed, it comes pump fed even, you need to modify that to gravity fed. So you need to mess about with this pipe here basically. Dead easy to do. This overflow we get people asking about a lot. It is in the instructions. If you go on a holiday you can stick that to the side, and then if it clogs up it'll basically flow out, but this is unfiltered water, so you don't want to leave it like that all the time. And that just makes sure that your Nexus is still able to process water. It's not processing it as efficiently as it would do because it's not actually being properly filtered. You're just letting mucky water back into the pond, which isn't the best. So yeah, only use that if you really need to. If you go on holiday for a long time, well, you can't get someone to come and help out or anything, twist it on its side, and then the water will flow through from there, from the easy side, and then back into your pond. So at least you've got some form of filtration. Not ideal, like I say, so don't try and do that and just think, oh, I'm going to go on holiday and do that. Try and get someone to do filters. Teach your neighbours, it's much better. But yeah, so today I'm going to get that plumbed into there. Probably going to run out of pipe if I'm honest. How much have I got left now? Got that little bit. These little bits. Probably going to run out of pipe, I reckon. I've got a bit there as well. But yeah, we're going to have at least everything mapped out so I can finish next time. Okay, sorry, I got a bit ahead of myself. I forgot to video a little bit that people normally ask me to. So this is the outlet. Normally comes with this rubber on the end of this pipe bit here. So to convert it to gravity fed, you need to remove this pipe that's inside there. See if you can get it. That pipe there. So that up pipe there needs to come out. So there's 3 little screws. So these were in there a minute ago. Took them out, got ahead of myself, sorry about that. So there's 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. Took the screws out. And then what you need to do, give it a wiggle. It's a bit of a pain one-handed especially. I have managed before somehow to pull it out the top, so I'm going to try and do that. Just going to put the phone down a second. you might see what's going on. So maybe on 320 get it out the top, push it out the bottom. I hope that stays there. There we go. You just want that completely gone, you don't need it. Whew. Right, and then set this back up there. And then it's just a case of sticking the rubber adapter that wasn't here on here, because then that converts down to 2-inch, and then you can go in your pump. I don't know why it is 2-inch, because you can't really go fast enough flow rate for the 2-inch fitted pump. Let's see, actually, is that 1.5 inches? Right, it is 1.5 inches. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a 220. So yeah, that comes down straight to 1.5 inches. Yeah, because obviously if that went 4 to 2, it'd be a bit daft, because there's no way you could have the flow rate for a 20,000. You only need a 10,000. So yeah, you go straight to 1.5 inches. That's perfect for your 10k vary pump, and then that can sit either below or below the UV or wherever. I've not 100% decided yet, but I think if it sits underneath there, it's just going to be a bit of an eyesore. So we'll have a bit of pipe going underneath, because this is going to be raised, so it can go on top of that bolt valve, so the pipework can go underneath and then in that side and then straight up in there. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we might have to just actually I want the waste to be facing that way, so I might have to use a couple of 90s, a couple of 45s or something, but we'll get it sorted easy enough. But yeah, that's all you need to do is convert it to gravity fed. Dead easy. Right, so we've got the little stand built for the Nexus, and we've just got to plumb the inlet for the UV, the pump, the outlet, the waste and stuff for the Nexus, and stick a bit of 4-inch pipe in there and connect that. But other than that, it's looking pretty tidy. We're going to have a bit of a step up here. It's going to be a bit of a fake floor, and it's going to mean the customer can't stand on this pipe, because if you just leave that there, eventually he's going to kick it and snap something and rip UV off the wall or whatever when he's getting to his Tempest every week. So we'll leave this for a day or two, let a couple of things go off, and then we'll get the underlay and stuff like that in it. It'll start looking like a pond.